The first thing you need to know about my wife Viviana is that she hums when she's planning something devious. Tonight, as she arranges imported cheese on our best crystal platter, she's practically conducting a symphony. Ethan, honey, could you open the Bordeaux? The good one from our anniversary. She doesn't look at me when she speaks, too busy adjusting the lighting to that perfect Instagram glow that makes our dining room look like a magazine spread. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. I pause in the doorway, watching her. After 12 years of marriage, I've learned to read the signs. The way she's wearing that black dress, the one that cost more than my car payment. The way she's checked her phone 17 times in the last hour. The way she's suddenly decided we absolutely must host a dinner party for her ex-boyfriend. Sure thing, I say, heading to the wine cabinet. Remind me again why we're rolling out the red carpet for Liam? He's not just my ex, Ethan. He's a successful real estate agent now. I thought it would be nice to reconnect with old friends. She says this while applying lipstick in the hallway mirror, which seems like too much for a casual dinner with old friends. The doorbell rings at exactly 7:30. Punctual bastard. Liam Foster strides into our home like he owns the place, all white teeth and expensive cologne. He's driving a red BMW now. I saw it in our driveway, parked right where I usually put my Honda Civic. The symbolism isn't lost on me. Ethan, buddy. He grips my hand with the enthusiasm of a used car salesman closing a deal. Great to see you again, man. Viviana's told me so much about your law practice. I seriously doubt that. Viviana barely remembers what kind of law I practice, let alone discusses it with her ex-boyfriend during their apparently frequent conversations. Corporate law, I say. Contracts, mostly. Pretty boring stuff. Oh, don't be modest, Viviana chirps, appearing at Liam's side with a glass of wine. She hands it to him first, leaving me to pour my own. Ethan's being promoted to senior partner next month. This is news to me, but I smile and nod. Viviana has always been creative with the truth when it serves her purposes. Our other guests arrive in a cluster. Clara, Viviana's best friend and partner in gossip, Jolie from next door, who never misses an opportunity for drama, and my colleague Mark, who I'd invited as a buffer against what I suspected would be an uncomfortable evening. As we settle around the dining table, I notice how Viviana positions herself directly across from Liam. How she laughs just a little too loudly at his stories about closing million-dollar deals. How Clara keeps shooting me these pitying looks, like I'm a stray dog who doesn't know he's about to be put down. So Liam, Mark says, cutting into his steak, how long has it been since you and Viviana dated? The question hangs in the air like smoke. Viviana's fork freezes halfway to her mouth. Oh, ages ago, Liam waves dismissively. We were just kids, really, though Viv here hasn't aged a day. He winks at her across the table. I take a long sip of wine and wonder if anyone would notice if I started drinking directly from the bottle. The conversation flows around real estate prices and vacation plans, but I'm watching the subtext. The way Liam's eyes linger on Viviana when he thinks I'm not looking. The way she keeps touching her necklace, a nervous habit I recognize from our early dating days. The way Clara keeps steering the conversation away from anything too personal. Halfway through dinner, I excuse myself. Just grabbing something from the garage, I announce, though nobody seems particularly interested in my whereabouts. Our garage is my sanctuary, the one place in this house that Viviana hasn't redecorated within an inch of its life. It's also where I keep my old surveillance equipment from a case I worked on last year involving corporate espionage. Funny how these things come in handy. I quickly set up 2 small cameras, one in the kitchen, another with a view of the dining room. Both connect to an app on my phone. If my suspicions are correct, I'll have my evidence soon enough. When I return to the table, Viviana and Liam are deep in conversation about some restaurant they both apparently love. a restaurant I've never heard her mention in 12 years of marriage. The risotto there is incredible, Liam is saying. Remember when we went there for your birthday? Which birthday? I ask innocently. Viviana's cheeks flush pink. Oh, that was years ago, before we were married, obviously. Obviously. Except her last birthday was 3 weeks ago, and we spent it at her mother's house eating grocery store cake and listening to her complain about her arthritis. The evening drags on with more wine and increasingly obvious flirtation. By 10 o'clock, our other guests have made their excuses and left, but Liam seems in no hurry to go anywhere. He helps Viviana clear the table while I load the dishwasher, playing the oblivious husband to perfection. I should probably head out, he finally says around 11, though he makes no move toward the door. Oh, stay for coffee, Viviana insists. Ethan makes terrible coffee, but I just got this new espresso machine. I've been making the same coffee for 12 years, and she's never complained before. But I dutifully retreat to the living room while they clatter around in the kitchen, ostensibly preparing coffee. That's when I check my phone and see what the cameras have captured. The footage is even worse than I'd imagined. There's Viviana pressed against the kitchen counter with Liam's hands on her waist. There's the kiss, not a friendly peck, but the kind of kiss that suggests this isn't their first time. There's the whispered conversation I can't quite hear, but their body language speaks volumes. I'm sitting in my own living room, watching my wife betray me in high definition on my phone screen, while they're 20 feet away pretending to make coffee. The rational part of my brain, the lawyer part, is already cataloging evidence. The emotional part wants to storm into the kitchen and throw Liam through the window. But there's a third part, a part I didn't know existed until this moment, that wants to see just how far this goes. I hear Viviana's laugh, bright and musical in a way it hasn't been with me in years. Then Liam's voice, lower, more intimate. We should be more careful. What if he suspects? Ethan? Viviana's voice carries clearly from the kitchen. Please. He barely notices when I get my hair done. He's completely oblivious. Oblivious. That's what my wife thinks of me. After 12 years of marriage, 3 years of dating before that, I'm just the oblivious husband who pays the bills and makes terrible coffee. They return to the living room with a tray of espresso cups, all smiles and casual conversation. Liam finally leaves around midnight, but not before giving Viviana a hug that lasts just a beat too long. Well, that was fun, Viviana says as we lock up. Liam's really done well for himself. I agree, already planning my next move. That night, while Viviana sleeps beside me, I review the footage again. The cameras caught more than just the kiss. They caught Liam slipping a piece of paper into Viviana's hand. They caught her quickly shoving it into her purse. They caught the guilty look she shot toward the living room, toward where she thought her oblivious husband was sitting. I know I should confront her. A reasonable person would wake her up right now and demand an explanation. But I'm discovering that betrayal does strange things to a person's sense of reason. Instead, I spend the rest of the night planning. The next morning, Viviana is unusually chipper. She hums while making breakfast. That same devious humming from yesterday. She's checking her phone constantly, smiling at messages she doesn't share. I'm thinking of having Clara over for lunch today, she announces. Girl talk, you know how it is. I know exactly how it is. Clara has been Viviana's accomplice in more schemes than I can count. If anyone knows about this affair, it's her. Sounds great, I say. I'll probably work late tonight. Big case coming up. This is a lie. I plan to spend the afternoon installing more surveillance equipment and the evening gathering evidence. After Viviana leaves for her event planning office, I get to work. Our house is now wired better than a FBI safe house. Cameras in every common area, audio recording devices in places I'm not proud of, and a tracking app on our shared computer that will log every website, visit, and email. I feel like a stalker in my own home, but the feeling is surprisingly liberating. Clara arrives for lunch right on schedule, carrying a bottle of wine and wearing the expression of someone who knows secrets. I make a show of leaving for work, but actually park around the corner and monitor the audio feed from my car. Their conversation is illuminating. "So, how long has this been going on?" Clara asks without preamble. "About 3 months," Viviana replies. "Ever since he moved back to town." 3 months. I think back over the past 3 months, looking for signs I missed. The new clothes, the sudden interest in yoga classes, the way she started working late twice a week. "Are you sure Ethan doesn't suspect anything?" Clara sounds worried. "Please, Ethan's sweet, but he's not exactly detective material. Besides, he's so buried in work he barely notices I exist anymore." "What's the plan? You can't keep this up forever." There's a long pause. Then Viviana's voice, quieter now. "Liam thinks we should be together. Really together." "You mean divorce?" "I mean, maybe. He's doing really well, Clara. The real estate market is booming and he's got connections all over the city. He could give me the life I actually want. The life she actually wants. Not the life we've built together, apparently. Not the house I work 60-hour weeks to pay for, or the vacations I save for all year, or the future we've planned. I sit in my car, listening to my wife plan my replacement, and feel something cold settle in my chest. Not heartbreak. That will come later. This is something sharper, more focused. This is the moment I decide that if Viviana wants to play games, I'll show her how it's done. That evening, I come home to find her cooking my favorite dinner. Guilty conscience, probably, or maybe she's practicing for her new life with Liam. "How was work?" she asks, not looking up from the stove. "Interesting," I say. "I'm working on a case involving digital evidence. Amazing what technology can capture these days." She glances at me sharply. "What kind of digital evidence?" "Oh, you know, emails, text messages, video footage. People think they're being discreet, but everything leaves a trail." I open a beer and lean against the counter, watching her face. The husband in this case had no idea his wife was cheating until he found her text messages. Viviana's stirring intensifies. "That sounds invasive." "Maybe, but adultery is still grounds for divorce in this state. And if there's evidence of deception, it can affect the settlement pretty significantly. I'm not working on any such case, but Viviana doesn't know that. What she does know is that I'm a lawyer who specializes in contracts and has a working knowledge of family law. Hypothetically, I continue, if someone were having an affair, they'd want to be very careful about leaving evidence. Delete texts, avoid public places, that sort of thing. Hypothetically, Viviana agrees, but her voice is tight. Dinner is awkward, filled with stilted conversation and long silences. Viviana keeps checking her phone, but she's being more subtle about it now. Every text makes her nervous. Every call goes unanswered. Good. Let her sweat. That night, she claims to have a headache and goes to bed early. I stay up, ostensibly watching television, but actually monitoring the feeds from my cameras. Around midnight, I hear her get up and go to the bathroom. She's in there for 20 minutes, long enough to have a whispered phone conversation. When she comes back to bed, I pretend to be asleep. She lies there for another hour, tossing and turning, before finally settling down. I wait until I'm sure she's really asleep, then slip out of bed and check her phone. Bingo. Viviana's phone is a goldmine of incriminating evidence. Months of text conversations with Liam, ranging from sweet to steamy to downright explicit. Photos I definitely wasn't meant to see, but the real treasure is the conversation from tonight. Liam. Everything okay? You seemed nervous at dinner yesterday. Viviana. Ethan made some weird comments about digital evidence and adultery cases. I think he might suspect something. Liam. Should we cool it for a while? Viviana. Maybe we should just tell him. I'm tired of sneaking around. Liam. Are you sure you're ready for that conversation? Viviana. I think so. This marriage has been over for years anyway. We're just going through the motions. Going through the motions. 15 years together, and that's how she sees it. I screenshot everything before carefully placing her phone back on the nightstand. Then I spend the rest of the night preparing my counterattack. By morning, I have a plan that would make Machiavelli proud. The first step is social media. Viviana's event planning business depends heavily on her reputation in our community. She's built a brand around being the perfect wife and hostess, the woman who can make any gathering elegant and memorable. That brand is about to take a serious hit. I create an anonymous email account and carefully select the most damaging photos and text messages. Nothing too explicit. I'm not trying to create revenge porn, but enough to make it clear what's been going on. Then I craft a message that's more in sorrow than anger. I thought the community should know what kind of person they're hiring for their special events. Viviana Hart has been carrying on an affair with Liam Foster for months, lying to her husband and clients alike. How can you trust someone to plan your wedding when she can't honor her own marriage vows? Attached is proof of her deception. I send it to every member of our neighborhood association, Viviana's professional contacts, and several local Facebook groups where she's active. Then I sit back and wait for the fireworks. They don't take long. By 10 a.m., my phone is buzzing with texts from neighbors and friends. Most are sympathetic. Apparently, I'm the last to know about the affair, which stings more than I expected. But some are gleefully sharing the gossip, and a few are asking if the evidence is real. Mark calls around 11. Jesus, Ethan, I'm sorry, I had no idea. You knew? I ask, though I'm not really surprised. I suspected, the way they were looking at each other at dinner, but I figured it wasn't my place to say anything. Right. I can't decide if I'm angry at him or grateful that he respected my marriage enough not to interfere. What are you going to do? I'm still deciding, I lie. I know exactly what I'm going to do. Viviana comes home early from work, her face flushed and her hands shaking. She's been crying, her makeup is smudged, and her usually perfect hair is disheveled. We need to talk, she says, without preamble. About what? I'm sitting in my favorite chair, reading a book, The Picture of Calm. Someone sent photos, private photos, to half the city. My clients are canceling, my business partners are asking questions, and my mother called crying because someone posted them in her church Facebook group. I look up from my book with what I hope is an expression of surprise and concern. Photos of what? You know what. Her voice is barely above a whisper. I'm afraid I don't. Why don't you explain it to me? She stares at me for a long moment, and I can see the wheels turning. She's trying to figure out how much I know, how much she can get away with denying. Someone has photos of me and Liam, she finally admits. Liam? Your ex-boyfriend Liam? The one who was here for dinner 2 nights ago? Yes. What kind of photos? Another long pause. Compromising photos. I set down my book and give her my full attention. Compromising how? Ethan, please don't make me spell it out. I think you need to spell it out, Viviana, because from where I'm sitting, it sounds like you're telling me that someone has photographs of you in a compromising position with another man, your ex-boyfriend, who you invited to our home for dinner. She starts crying then, big dramatic sobs that would have moved me a week ago. Now they just annoy me. It's not what you think, she manages between sobs. What do I think? That I'm having an affair. Are you? The question hangs in the air between us. This is her chance to come clean, to throw herself on my mercy and beg forgiveness. This is the moment where she could salvage something from the wreckage of our marriage. Instead, she looks me in the eye and lies. No. Of course not. Someone must have doctored those photos. It's probably someone who has a grudge against my business. I nod slowly, as if considering this possibility. That's an interesting theory. So you're saying that someone created fake photographs of you and Liam in compromising positions and sent them to everyone we know, just to hurt your business. It's possible, People are crazy these days. They'd have to be pretty skilled with photo editing software. It's not that hard anymore. There are apps for everything. I stand up and walk to the window, looking out at our front yard where Liam's BMW was parked 2 nights ago. You know what's strange, though? What? If someone wanted to hurt your business, why involve Liam? Why not create fake photos with some random person? Why choose your ex-boyfriend specifically? I can practically hear her brain working, trying to come up with an explanation that doesn't involve admitting the truth. Maybe they know we used to date. Maybe they thought it would be more believable. More believable, I repeat. So you're saying that people who know us would find it believable that you'd have an affair with Liam? I didn't say that. You kind of did. She's trapped now, caught between her lies and her excuses. I almost feel sorry for her. Almost. Ethan, I need you to help me figure out who did this. We need to find out who's trying to destroy our marriage. Our marriage. As if it's something worth saving. As if she hasn't spent the last 3 months planning its destruction. Of course, I say. We'll get to the bottom of this together. She looks relieved, probably thinking she's successfully manipulated me once again. Poor Viviana. She has no idea what's coming next. The next morning brings fresh developments. Liam's real estate office has apparently received copies of the same photos and messages. His boss, a stern woman named Patricia Hendricks, who runs the most successful agency in town, is not amused by the scandal. I know this because I've made it my business to know. A few strategic phone calls, a little research, and I've learned that Hendricks and Associates has a strict morality clause in their employment contracts. Conduct that reflects poorly on the agency can result in suspension or termination. I'm betting Liam didn't read the fine print when he signed up. My phone rings around 10 a.m. It's Mark, calling from his office. You need to see the news, he says without preamble. What news? Channel 7 just ran a story about local business ethics. They didn't name names, but they showed some of the photos, blurred out obviously, and talked about how social media is being used to expose cheating spouses. I turn on the television and catch the tail end of the segment. The anchor, a serious-looking woman in her 40s, is discussing the digital age of infidelity and how anonymous whistleblowers are changing the landscape of personal accountability. Perfect. The story is spreading beyond our immediate social circle. Viviana calls me 20 minutes later, hysterical. They're talking about us on TV, she shrieks into the phone. This is insane, Ethan. We need to hire a lawyer. We need to sue someone. Sue who? I ask reasonably. We don't know who sent the photos. Then we need to hire a private investigator. We need to do something. I agree, this has gone far enough. What I don't tell her is that I've already decided what I'm going to do, and it doesn't involve lawyers or private investigators. That afternoon, I drive to Liam's gym. It's an upscale place called Elite Fitness, all chrome and mirrors and overpriced smoothies. I know he works out here every day at 3 p.m. because Viviana mentioned it during one of their text conversations. I've never been much of a gym person, but I pay for a day pass and change into workout clothes in the locker room. Then I wait. Liam arrives right on schedule, looking like he hasn't slept much. The scandal is clearly taking its toll. His usually perfect hair is disheveled, and he keeps checking his phone with the desperate frequency of a man watching his world collapse. I give him time to get settled into his routine, then approach the weight bench where he's doing chest presses. Liam, what a coincidence. He nearly drops the barbell. Ethan, what are you doing here? Trying to get back in shape. Figured I should take better care of myself. I sit down on the bench next to him, close enough that he can't easily escape. Rough week, huh? His face goes pale. Yeah, you could say that. I heard about the photos. Terrible thing, someone trying to destroy people's reputations like that. Terrible. He agrees. But he won't meet my eyes. Viviana's devastated, of course. She can't understand why someone would target her business like this. Right, her business. Although, I continue conversationally, I have to say, whoever created those photos did an amazing job. They look incredibly realistic. Liam sets down his weights and starts to stand up. I should probably... Sit down, Liam. Something in my voice stops him. Maybe it's the fact that I've dropped the friendly pretense, or maybe it's the way I'm looking at him. Either way, he sits. Let's talk, I say. About what? About the fact that those photos aren't fake, and we both know it. He opens his mouth to deny it, but I hold up a hand to stop him. I'm not here to make a scene. I'm not going to punch you in the face, much as I'd like to. I'm here to make sure we understand each other. Understand what? That this ends now, today. You stop seeing my wife. You stop calling her. You stop texting her. You disappear from her life completely. And if I don't? I smile, and it's not a nice smile. Then those photos that are currently circulating in our little social circle find their way to every real estate blog and professional forum in the state, along with some additional evidence that I haven't shared yet. His Adam's apple bobs as he swallows hard. What additional evidence? Voice recordings, video footage, text messages that are much more explicit than anything that's been released so far. I lean closer. Did you know that adultery can be grounds for a civil lawsuit in some circumstances? Alienation of affection, it's called. I could sue you for destroying my marriage. This is a bluff. Alienation of affection suits are rare and hard to prove, but Liam doesn't know that. You can't prove I destroyed anything, he says, but his voice lacks conviction. Actually, I can. I have documentation going back 3 months, photos, messages, even some video footage from inside my own home. I let that sink in for a moment. Did you really think you could have an affair with my wife in my own kitchen, and I wouldn't find out eventually? The color drains from his face completely. You recorded us? My house, my cameras, perfectly legal. This is technically true, though the ethics are questionable. But I'm well past worrying about ethics. What do you want? He asks. I want you gone. Out of her life. Out of my life. Out of this city if possible. I want you to tell her it's over, that you've realized it was a mistake, that you're not willing to destroy a marriage for a fling. And if I do that, then the additional evidence stays private. Your boss never sees the video footage. The Real Estate Commission never gets an anonymous tip about your professional conduct. He's trapped and he knows it. His career, his reputation, his entire life in this city depends on making this scandal go away. And the only way to do that is to give me what I want. Okay, he says quietly. I'll end it. Good man. I stand up and clap him on the shoulder, hard enough to make him wince. I'm glad we could resolve this like civilized adults. I'm halfway to the locker room when I hear him call my name. Ethan. I turn back. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. I never meant for it to go this far. I study his face, looking for sincerity. What I see is a man who's sorry he got caught, sorry his life is falling apart, sorry he underestimated the quiet husband who makes terrible coffee. No, I say. You're not sorry it went this far. You're sorry it went public. I leave him sitting there, staring after me, and I feel better than I have in months. Liam keeps his word. Over the next few days, I watch through my surveillance equipment as Viviana's world continues to crumble. Her phone calls go unanswered. Her text messages are ignored. Her increasingly desperate attempts to contact her lover are met with silence. She tries to maintain her innocence with me, still insisting that the photos are fake and the whole thing is some elaborate conspiracy against her business. But I can see the cracks forming in her facade. Her event planning company loses 3 major clients in 1 week. The country club where she hosts most of her events starts asking pointed questions about her reputation in the community. Her business partner, a woman named Susan who's been her friend for years, suggests they might need to reevaluate their professional relationship. Through it all, I play the supportive husband. I bring her coffee in the morning, terrible coffee, apparently. I listen to her complaints about the unfairness of it all. I even suggest couples counseling, which she declines with a vague excuse about being too busy with damage control. But I'm not done. Not even close. The real masterstroke comes 2 weeks later, when the Willow Lane Country Club announces their annual charity gala. It's the social event of the season, attended by everyone who's anyone in our community. Viviana has organized this event for the past 3 years, turning it into a showcase for her business and a networking opportunity for the city's elite. This year, she's been quietly removed from the planning committee. The official reason is scheduling conflicts. But everyone knows the real story. The scandal has made her persona non grata in the circles where she once reigned supreme, which is why it's so surprising when she receives an invitation. "I can't believe they still want us to come," she says, holding the elegant cardstock like it might bite her. "After everything that's happened." "Maybe people are more forgiving than you think," I suggest. "Or maybe they've realized that the photos really were fake, like you said." She looks at me with something approaching hope. "Do you think so?" Only one way to find out. The truth is, I arranged for our invitation. A few strategic conversations with the right people, a generous donation to the charity in question, and suddenly Ethan Caldwell is considered a valued member of the community who deserves support during this difficult time. The gala is held on a Saturday evening in the club's main ballroom. Viviana spends hours getting ready, choosing and rejecting outfits, applying and reapplying makeup. She's nervous in a way I haven't seen since our wedding day. "How do I look?" she asks, spinning in front of our bedroom mirror. She looks beautiful, actually. The red dress hugs her figure perfectly, her hair is styled in an elegant updo, and her makeup is flawless. She looks like the successful, confident woman I fell in love with 15 years ago, which makes what I'm about to do almost tragic. "You look perfect," I tell her, and I mean it. The ballroom is decorated in gold and white, with round tables surrounding a small stage where the evening speakers will make their presentations. We're seated at table 12, far from the VIP section, but not quite in social Siberia. Viviana keeps her head high as we make our way through the crowd, but I can see the strain in her smile. Conversations quiet as we pass. People stare, then quickly look away. A few brave souls offer polite greetings, but the warmth that used to characterize her social interactions is noticeably absent. "This was a mistake," she whispers to me as we take our seats. "We should leave." "Nonsense," I reply, pouring her a glass of wine from the bottle on our table. "You belong here as much as anyone." The evening progresses with the usual mix of speeches, silent auction bidding, and networking. Viviana gradually relaxes, even managing to have what appears to be a pleasant conversation with the woman sitting next to her. That's when I excuse myself to visit the restroom. But instead of heading to the bathroom, I make my way to the audiovisual booth at the back of the ballroom. The technician running the evening's presentation is a young man named David, who I've met through my work. A few months ago, I helped his father with a contract dispute, and David has been grateful ever since. "Mr. Caldwell, great to see you. How's the evening going?" "Wonderful event," I say. "Listen, David, I have a favor to ask." 20 minutes later, I'm back at the table just as the evening's main speaker takes the stage. Viviana is looking more relaxed, even managing to laugh at something our tablemate has said. "Ladies and gentlemen," the speaker begins, "before we conclude tonight's festivities, we have a special presentation about the importance of honesty and integrity in our community." Viviana looks confused. This isn't part of the program she helped plan in previous years. The lights dim, and the large screen behind the speaker comes to life. What follows is a carefully edited compilation of the evidence I've gathered over the past month. The photos, yes, but also video footage from my home security cameras, audio recordings of phone conversations, text message exchanges displayed in large, readable fonts. The ballroom falls silent as 300 of the city's most prominent citizens watch Viviana Hart's affair play out in high definition. I watch my wife's face as she realizes what's happening. The confusion gives way to horror, then to panic. She grabs my arm, her nails digging into my skin. "Make it stop," she hisses. "Ethan, make it stop." But I can't stop it now, even if I wanted to. The presentation continues for exactly 5 minutes, long enough to make the point, short enough to avoid criminal charges for public humiliation. When the screen finally goes dark, the silence in the ballroom is deafening. Then the whispers start. Viviana stands up so quickly that her chair falls backward. She's shaking, her face flushed with shame and anger. Every eye in the room is on her. "This is fake," she announces, her voice carrying clearly in the silent room. "All of it. Someone is trying to destroy my reputation. But the evidence is too comprehensive, too detailed to dismiss, and everyone in this room knows it." She looks around desperately, searching for a friendly face, for someone who might believe her protests of innocence. What she finds instead is a room full of people who have just watched her betray her husband in intimate detail. "Viviana," I say quietly, standing up beside her, "I think we should go." She stares at me, and I can see the exact moment when she realizes the truth. The moment when she understands that her oblivious husband isn't oblivious at all. That the man she's been lying to for months has been 3 steps ahead of her the entire time. "You," she whispers, "you did this." I don't deny it. There's no point now. "Ladies and gentlemen," I address the room, my voice calm and clear. "I apologize for the disruption to your evening. I hope you'll understand that sometimes the truth needs to be told, regardless of the consequences." I take Viviana's arm, gently, because I'm not a monster, and guide her toward the exit. The crowd parts before us like the Red Sea, everyone stepping back to let us pass. We make it to the parking lot before she finally speaks. "How long have you known?" "Since the dinner party." "The whole time?" "The whole time." She starts crying then, but these aren't the manipulative tears she's used on me before. These are tears of genuine grief, for the life she's lost, for the future she'll never have. "What happens now?" she asks. I look at her, this woman I've loved for 15 years, and feel something that might be pity. "Now you pack your things," I say, "and you figure out how to rebuild your life somewhere else." "And us?" "There is no us, Viviana. There hasn't been for a long time. You said so yourself." The story should end there, with Viviana's public humiliation and our marriage's quiet dissolution. But life, as I've learned, rarely follows the script we expect. 3 days after the gala, I come home from work to find Viviana and Liam waiting in my living room. They're sitting on my couch like they own the place, both of them wearing expressions of grim determination. Viviana has been crying, her eyes are red and puffy, but Liam looks angry. "We need to talk," Viviana says as I set down my briefcase. "I thought we covered everything at the gala," I reply. "But sure, let's talk." "You've destroyed both of our lives," Liam says, standing up. He's bigger than me, broader through the shoulders, and he's clearly hoping his physical presence will intimidate me. It doesn't. "I documented your affair," I correct him. "You destroyed your own lives." "Those recordings were illegal," Viviana says. "You can't just spy on people." "Actually, I can. It's my house, and I'm allowed to record what happens in it. I looked it up." This isn't entirely true. The legality of spousal surveillance is complicated, but they don't know that. "You're going to call the media," Liam continues, "and tell them the whole thing was a hoax, that you fabricated the evidence to frame us." I almost laugh. Why would I do that? "Because if you don't," Viviana says, "we're going to tell everyone what kind of man you really are, how you stalked us, how you violated my privacy, how you humiliated me in public. Go ahead, I say. I'm sure people will be very sympathetic to the woman who cheated on her husband and the man who helped her do it. You're sick, Liam spits. What kind of person does what you did? The kind of person whose wife has been lying to him for months, I reply. The kind of person who gets tired of being called oblivious. I walk to the kitchen and pour myself a glass of water, taking my time. When I return to the living room, they're both standing, clearly agitated by my calm demeanor. Here's what's going to happen, I continue. Viviana, you're going to pack your belongings and move out of my house. You're going to file for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences, and you're not going to ask for alimony because we both know how that conversation will go. And if I don't? Then I release the rest of the evidence, the recordings I didn't use at the gala, the ones that are much more explicit. Her face goes white. She knows exactly which recordings I'm talking about. You wouldn't. Try me. I turn to Liam. As for you, I believe we already had this conversation at the gym. You were supposed to disappear from her life. Plans change, he says, but there's no conviction in his voice. No, they don't. You're going to leave town, find a new job in a new city, and never contact either of us again. You can't make me do that. Can't I? I pull out my phone and show him the screen. It's a video file ready to be uploaded to YouTube. This is you and my wife in my kitchen, 47 minutes of footage. I wonder how many views it would get. He lunges for the phone, but I'm ready for him. I step aside and let him stumble past me, then calmly put the phone back in my pocket. Violence won't solve your problem, Liam. In fact, it would just create new ones. He straightens up, his face red with anger and embarrassment. You think you're so smart. I think I'm tired of being underestimated. That's when Viviana makes her last play. Ethan, she says, her voice soft and pleading. We can work this out. We can go to counseling, try to save our marriage. What I did was wrong, but we can get past it. For a moment, I almost believe she means it. There's something in her voice, in the way she's looking at me, that reminds me of the woman I married. But then I remember the recordings, the way she laughed about my obliviousness, the way she planned my replacement like I was a piece of furniture she'd grown tired of. No, I say, we can't. Please, I love you. No, you don't. You love the life I provided. You love the house and the security and the social status, but you don't love me. She starts to protest, but I hold up a hand to stop her. If you loved me, you wouldn't have spent 3 months planning to leave me. If you loved me, you wouldn't have brought him into our home. If you loved me, you wouldn't have called me oblivious behind my back. The fight goes out of her then. She sags back onto the couch, defeated. What do you want from us? She asks. I want you gone, I say simply. Both of you. Tonight. Tonight? Liam protests. That's impossible. We need time to... You've had 3 months to plan your future together. Figure it out. I walk to the front door and open it. Get out of my house. They look at each other, some silent communication passing between them. Then Viviana stands up. Fine, she says. But this isn't over. Yes, it is. She walks past me toward the door, then stops. You know what the funny thing is? I really did think you were oblivious. I thought you were just this boring, predictable man who would never surprise me. Surprise, I say. She almost smiles at that. I guess I never really knew you at all. No, I agree. You didn't. Liam follows her out, pausing in the doorway to deliver what I assume is meant to be a parting shot. You'll regret this, he says. Both of you will be miserable. Maybe, I reply, but we'll be miserable separately, which is an improvement. I close the door behind them and lock it. Then I go to the window and watch as they get into Liam's BMW and drive away. I should feel triumphant. I should feel vindicated. Instead, I feel empty. But as I stand there in my quiet house, looking out at the street where we used to walk together on Sunday mornings, I realize something important. I'm not the same man I was a month ago. That man was passive, trusting, willing to be underestimated. That man would have confronted his cheating wife with tears and recriminations, would have begged her to stay, would have blamed himself for her betrayal. This man, the man I've become, doesn't beg. He doesn't accept blame for other people's choices. He doesn't let anyone call him oblivious. This man gets the last laugh.